Hello, Professor. Hello. Today I'm going to be introducing you to my project, which is movie selection using both Solver and VBA. So, I'm going to begin by showing you what the interface looks like. So this is it. You get the chance to input your preferences and the number of movies you want to see, what preferred genres you have as your first, second, and third choice. If you're interested in seeing black and white movies as part of this list, what's the maximum number of blockbusters you require, and what's the minimum average IMDb score for these movies. You also get to choose whether or not you want foreign language films and R-rated films within this group. So what happens is, when after selecting your criteria, click the button Get My Movies, and what it will do is going to go through the movie database and apply Solver to figure out which movies best meet your criteria. It's going to select out the minimum number of movies that meet your criteria, which may or may not be, or which will probably be over the amount of movies that you selected up here, but by the barest minimum to meet the requirements. I coded it in such a way that your first choice is going to be, you're going to have 10 movies that match your first choice. You're going to have at least 7.5 movies that match 7.75% of the movies that match your second choice, and 50% of movies will match your third choice. The way this works, and the reason this works so well, is because movies are often classified in multiple genres rather than just one. So one movie can meet all three requirements, or two, or one. However, Solver is going to make sure I get the minimum number for all those. And then, this is what the database looks like. It's built in with all sorts of information, from whether or not the movie is black and white, the director's name, how many likes he has on Facebook, the number of critical reviews for the movie, the number of users who reviewed the movie on IMDb, the number of users that voted on the movie on IMDb, how long is the movie in minutes, who was the lead actor, how many Facebook likes does he or she have, and for the other lead actors in position 2 and 3, how many Facebook likes the movie itself has, its budget, its gross, its profit, its genres, which are, as you can see, a number of them. Movies usually have 2, 3, 4, 5, and even up to 8 genres they fit into. And the movie title, how many faces are on the poster, keywords, links, the language of the movie, what country it was made in, the rating, title, aspect ratio, the year it was produced, all of that. So I have all of this information and I've cleaned it up so it's easy to look at and to use. And the last column I have here is chosen. This is a variable that represents whether or not the movie is selected to be a part of your movie list. And if you just keep scrolling, through this, you're going to find out that a number of these movies that are selected, the reason they're selected is because they meet up multiple requirements in your criteria that you selected. So, after showing you this, I'm just going to show you how exactly it works. So right now, under the chosen list, you can see the number of movies chosen. I have 73 movies selected, which is a lot of movies. So we're going to go fix that on the home page. So rather than 10, let's make it 15 movies. And let's change the genres. Let's choose action. What else? I like adventure movies, so let's include adventure here. And drama, because I guess the only genre is now alive somehow. I'm going to include foreign movies. Should we include black and white movies? Why not? Yeah. And then get my movies. So now, in the background, Solver is running through. And this Solver methodology that I'm using for this process is the evolutionary method. So rather than using simplex LP or GRG nonlinear, which are more accurate, I chose evolutionary because it relies on less processing power, and so I can run it. I lost my laptop, so right now I have to use this on one of the systems in the library, and they're really, really slow. So evolutionary is a method that best fits in with the system I'm using. However, because you're relying on so much processing power by using both the solver and VBA, the process itself can be really slow, so you need to be aware of that. As you can see, the results are about in. I set it up so that after it was done, it would bring me back to the result page. However, the list of movies here are not the accurate representation of the movies returned. If you go back to the movie database, you can see it selected 21 movies, but here in the results page, they're not 21 movies, and there's a reason for that. The reason is because when both solver and VBA are running, it takes up too much cache, it takes up too much memory. So if you try to refresh the page while doing that, it won't actually run. It will tell you that you don't have enough system resources and you'll basically return an error. So the best way to get the answer is to close down your file and reopen it, and then refresh the pivot table to get the chosen movies. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. Even then, you can see it's loading up. So let's see what 21 movies this solver was able to get for me. Okay, so you have about 20 movies of these. Lord of the Rings, Inception, Saving Private Ryan, The Dark Knight Rises, The Lion King, Slumdog Millionaire, 300, Indiana Jones. These are all top quality movies. So that's the way it runs with the Get My Movies using solver within it. And then I also include another command, get all movies. This is a much simpler because it doesn't actually run solver. This just goes through and returns all the movies within the database. But even then, to calculate the pivot table, it takes a short time. So these are all the movies that I have within the database rather than just the few movies I showed you earlier. So let's go back and let me show you a bit more on how this is done. So in the movie metadata, I have all my constraints listed out. So the color, IMDb score, action, whether mystery, the maximum, minimum, and this is genre calculation I use. Basically, I say that genre 1, genre 2, and genre 3 should have these weights. Genre 1 should be equal to the number of movies you've chosen. Genre 2 should be equal to about 3/4 of the movies you've chosen. And genre 3 should be present in about half the movies you've chosen. So that's really the reason of the way I build it into the model. Yeah. Originally, right now I'm using only about 170 movies to do this. My original plan was to do this using about 5,000 movies, but that proved to be too much for the system. Even with 200 movies, this wouldn't work, mainly because solver returned the error that you have too many variables. But I don't really think it's an Excel or Microsoft inbuilt problem. It's more of a problem of the system's capability. Because the system cannot handle calculating with so many variables, it returns the error and doesn't let you process it that fast. And the reason I chose to use these tools, the reason I chose to use both solver embedded in VBA is because I enjoy using solver. I think it's a very important and very intuitive tool that saves time in so many applications. I've been practicing it in one of my other classes, and so the opportunity to encode it within VBA and to run processes streamlined with just a click of a button without having to reset many figures or variables, I think that's awesome. So that's basically what my project is. Just to recap, the major way it works is in my Get My Movies button, I have encoded VBA or macro called My Movies, and this macro itself here shows you the solver requirement. So it tells you this is the minimum value, this is the maximum value, this is how it runs, this is what you do, blah 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 blah. So all of that is encoded within the VBA. And so when you just click the button, everything runs. The only issue is the computer doesn't let you do the updates with the refresh, so you have to close it and restart it. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good day.